I'm building an AI agent to handle my inbound leads. End to end, no fluff, just the real build. So if you've ever wondered how to actually build an AI agent, connect tools, prompt the agent, and build something useful, this video series is for you. And the whole point of this video series is to document everything as I go. What works, what doesn't work, what breaks, and everything I learn along the way. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Matt Paiva. I build AI solutions for businesses. And today I actually had this idea of documenting a whole process of building an internal tool, an internal AI agent for myself. But I guarantee that if you watch until the end of this video series, you will not only have a very powerful AI agent that researches into your inbound leads, comes up with follow-up sequences, and writes personalized emails for you, but also learn the logic that goes behind building an agent. So I'm actually recording this after a while since I started building this thing. So why don't we go back a few days and I show you how this started. Matt from a few days ago, take it along. So just to go over how this process works, as of right now, a lead signs up to get the free AI automation templates. Make.com receives that trigger and then it checks their email domain. If the person contains like an email domain like Gmail, Yahoo, or just like a normal domain, it ignores because it's really hard to do research on Gmail domains. If there is a custom domain, it goes ahead and notifies me. It sends me an email saying new lead and then the email of that lead. So I can then go and check manually to see if that domain exists, if it's a real business, if that business has a LinkedIn profile, if there are other socials. And then I use all of that information plus a little bit of prompting with ChatGPT to create a personalized email, tailoring it to what that company might need. And then I send the email to the lead and try to follow up when I remember. So I have this scenario here in Make.com that essentially looks at the incoming rows or all the rows that are added to my Google Sheets, which is essentially the Google Sheets attached to the Google Forms that I have with these YouTube videos. And then whenever someone signs up, it automatically sends them an email with the link for the folder. And if there is an email address that's a little bit more interesting, let's say like that, if it's like a custom domain for the email, so if it's like johnsmith@mycompany.com, it notifies me via email. Now, when I get these emails, I need to go and manually do research on that person. And I usually use that domain to do the research. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to build a Relevance AI agent that I actually started building over here that actually does that research and drafts that email for me. The goal later down the line is to eventually be able to have an agent that not only does the research and drafts the email, but also creates a follow-up sequence and remembers to follow up across multiple platforms for me, because that's one of the main things that I keep forgetting to do. It's just something that I'm not used to doing and it slips my mind way too often. Now, usually I would go ahead and outline the 2B system, but what I noticed is that it's really easy to get lost in the weeds by like figuring out what kind of follow-up sequence I would want to have instead of just automating the process to begin with. So what I'm going to do is to set up a V1. I usually like negotiate with myself with what V1 will entail. In this scenario, I'm just going to automate the process. I'm not going to enhance the process in any way as of right now, because setting up the V1 is usually the thing that can take a lot of time if you get lost in what you want the system to include. So in this example, I really want there to be a follow-up sequence, but that's not the core thing that needs to happen right now. The core thing is the research step 4, 5, and 6. And usually when I'm figuring out what the V1 system will look like, I have a very in-depth conversation with ChatGPT, which is what you guys are seeing over here. And I was talking to the O3 model. Essentially what I do is that I context dump by a lot in the beginning. I ask it to ask me a lot of clarifying questions on the value that this automation has, on how it's going to work, on how I want it to work. And then we go over through a prioritization step, defining exactly what we're going to keep in V1. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. So the first step to automate this process will be to create the Relevance AI agent that will receive the information from Make.com and do that research for me. So in order to do that, we just use Relevance AI's tool that automatically creates the AI generated prompt for our agent, and it even includes some of the potential tools that we can use in order to get the outcome that we want. So let's review this prompt and see if we want to change some things. So in order to review this prompt that was generated with Relevance AI, I'm going to compare with a specific type of prompt for Relevance AI agents that I have over here on a custom GPT. Now, what this custom GPT is doing, it's actually getting information from a YouTube video, and this is the Vox script custom GPT, so you can get access to this for free in the link in the description. I'll leave it there for you guys. And I love using this to summarize or to get specific information from YouTube videos when I'm not taking manual notes. And this video by Ben over here was actually a really fun video to watch. It's like an hour and 30 minutes long about AI businesses in 2025. And I remembered that he had a portion about prompting AI agents in Relevance AI. Ben is like super knowledgeable when it comes to Relevance AI. A lot of his stuff is really good. And I just wanted to go over Vox script to see if I could get an actual transcript or some note taking on that portion. So let's adapt this prompt. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to include markdown formatting over here. And we can see that when it comes to role, we need to define an identity and a capability for an agent. Right now, we're saying you are Echo, an AI assistant tasked with researching and drafting emails for a new lead magnet signups. Okay, that's okay, but not that good. I want to hype it up a little bit better. All right, so we changed the role a little bit to hype it up in terms of capabilities, and I changed from AI assistant, like your Echo and AI assistants, to your Echo, a lead researcher and nurturer. Now from here on out, the next step would be to include an objective. So in terms of objective, we just added some information. Here, in terms of objective, the example that he goes over in the video is to generate a 150-word job proposal tailored to a sales leadership role. Now, I don't need this to be like extremely specific like that, so I'm going to keep it a little bit broader. I'm going to say that your objective is to research inbound leads, understand their business, and generate an amazing personalized email. Now here we go. In terms of SOPs, we can actually take a lot of advantage of what it already created. I know that these tools that are over here might not necessarily be the tools that we end up using, but this is good enough. Okay, so I fixed some things. Under the SOPs over here that I added, we had an original 6-step process over here, outlining the step-by-step process that the system should go through. I just added a couple more steps because I noticed it was missing some information in finding the LinkedIn profile data. So here, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use some sort of tool to extract the domain. I might even use just the agent's capabilities here instead of actually creating a tool. Then from there, we're going to perform a Google search to find the website, fetch the website data, get the LinkedIn company profile, get the person's profile, the lead's profile, and then do some more research on that person. And then we're going to use that information to compose the email, and we're going to draft the email. This tool over here is going to be a tool that is going to be run upon approval, not a tool that will be run whenever the agent feels like it. I also added this portion over here for context. I'm just giving a little bit of context on the system that this is working within, as well as the business that it's working for. And here on Ben's approach, we also have a portion for sub-agents and tools. And I feel like essentially here, I would just list each one of these tools that it would have access to give some more context about how these tools work. I might even go ahead and create a more in-depth tool that encompasses multiple steps of these ones. For example, we could perform a Google search and then fetch the website domain in one tool instead of using two. But in this context, we're just outlining a quick draft for this. With that being said, I think I'm going to skip on examples and notes as of right now for this agent. Examples I am going to include later down the line. I know that examples can be really good, but I've never used examples for agentic prompting. Usually whenever I'm prompting a model for a chat completion, I use a lot of examples. So this will be interesting to try as well. But for now, let's just go ahead and create the agent and set up our trigger before we wrap up today's session and go over to the tools tomorrow. And we're back. Welcome to day 2 of our live build. Today we're going to be focusing on determining the tools that we're going to use for the Relevance AI agent, as well as adapting the prompt, and then possibly running some tests if I have time at the end. So essentially what did a little bit after I finished recording yesterday was to outline the to-be system. Essentially, how is this information going to flow in comparison to our as-is system over here. I did this so I would figure out what the main questions were in terms of what I need to figure out today to actually implement the tools. And I had a few questions, right? I want to understand what type of extraction I need to get from the website content, what type of company profile data I can get on LinkedIn, and see if I'm gonna have to adapt the flow of information accordingly. So first thing that we're gonna do is actually look up for those tools. I think I actually saved that tool recently, extract and summarize website content, this one. To start us off, I'm going to define the scraping objective as coming up with a summary of services provided by the business, a summary of the About Us page, and social media links that might be connected to the website. And I'm actually gonna use an example of a real business that got one of the links or got the templates that I had, and we'll see how it actually structures this information. Okay, so I see that when I do the website URL, it pretty much reads the URL exactly as it is, so it's looking at the homepage. So now I'm gonna test to see what happens if I paste the URL of the About page to see what it can come up with. I was hoping that this tool would do a full scrape of the website. Actually seems like it's gonna give me the same information. I see. Okay, so I was hoping to get a more broad scraping tool. And before we run this, well, let's save this and see if there are any other website scraping tools available for us on the templates. All right, let's test this other tool to see if it's relevant, because it's a loop. Oh, I need to enter a number of maximum attempts for scraping a website. I don't know, 3? Time delay between scraping attempts, 10. Is this in seconds? Yeah, 10 seconds. 15 seconds. No, 10 seconds. I'm curious because there's no LLM here. Honestly, low-key feels a little bit like a pointless tool. I'm not sure why we need to scrape or attempt to scrape multiple times. I guess like the assumption is that the first time won't work. Yeah, and then it doesn't format the output. Okay, so between this and the other output, I definitely prefer the other output. I'm not even gonna save this for right now. And then we have the Google search, scrape, and summarize. Also, let me check something real quick. Yeah, we have social media links here. So what is the input and output of this tool? Let's understand. We have a scrape website content, URL, text. I want the HTML. So here I noticed that the scrape was not pulling the social media links, and I changed the input from text to HTML so we could at least identify the links and scrape them from the website. So I think I'm gonna remove this variable of scraping objective. I'm gonna hard code it. Let's go to ChatGPT and ask for a prompt. I'm going to voice this actually. I need you to create a prompt for a chat completion tool that summarizes extracted data from a website scrape. Please follow the format of creating a role, task, SOP, context, and notes of the information. Now I'm going to give the ChatGPT some more information so I can create my prompt. The role of this system is to be a professional website content summarizer. The context of the system is that it works for Pivot Solutions, which is an AI automation agency that helps businesses build AI systems, especially on the sales and marketing side of things. The context of this system is that this tool is attempting to scrape a website of a potential lead that has requested the free AI templates. Under task, please include a step-by-step process that asks for the system to scrape and summarize the key services of the business, to scrape any names of people who work in the business, and to scrape any links for social media like Facebook, Instagram, and most importantly, LinkedIn. Now it will give us a better prompt because this prompt is just too raw in my opinion. Okay. So we fixed this prompt. Let's actually try to run this now. We don't need website scraping objective. I forgot to paste the website here. Actually, let's go with mine. I can't because the prompt says, okay, let's grab this website over here and run the test run tool. Whoa, this is a much better output just by improving the prompt. Save and publish. Let's go. Okay, now we always run the risk that this tool will like try to get information from a website that doesn't exist. I shouldn't have opened it. So we changed the name of the tool to extract and summarize website content for Echo, which is the name of our agent. And that tool is going to be okay. So here we can go ahead and I'm going to bold this. If one of the links is not LinkedIn, use Google search to find LinkedIn. Okay, so we're gonna go to Google search, scrape and summarize. I might actually only need the Google search. This is the Google search tool for scraping. Where are our tools for just Google? Let's search it over here. Google, perform a Google search, scrape and summarize, extract industry trend from Google. This could actually, I remember using this tool for a different build and I actually liked the results that it came up with, but I don't know how to fit it in yet. So this tool can be for like V2. I'm gonna save this just so I don't forget. But this is the tool that we were actually looking for, just a simple Google search. I just need to figure out what type of output I get from this. Echo V2, save and publish. Let me close this to keep this organized. Okay, so perform Google search query, process search results, and then, so if I did Reliant, out of curiosity, let's run the tool, see if we can find the LinkedIn. Oh, what kind of output is this? Okay, so it's returning all of the Google results. Oh my god, it's returning everything. It's returning the top 10 links. Let me walk you through my thought process here. There are two tools that we can use. There is Google search, scrape and summarize, and then there is Google search plain and simple. Google search, scrape and summarize has more steps and also like has this setup ready to go for us. So what I'm thinking is, how do we actually create a search query that's gonna find the information that we need? We need something to set up before to set up a search query. So I'm thinking I create this tool from scratch, unfortunately. Okay, so we are adapting this tool. I decided to just change the Google search, scrape and summarize tool to remove some steps from it and add a new input. Actually, I'm just gonna change this input over here to something else. What we're gonna do is, we can see like each one of these points over here is a step in this like automation, right? In this scenario. So I'm going to remove anything that's after the extract JSON from LLM, and we are going to just go ahead and change the output itself. So this we're gonna delete, this we are going to delete, this we are going to delete. Hopefully we didn't break anything. Last step, awesome. We're using Gemini? I wonder why. I'll keep it like this. So what I'm changing is I'm going to change this input over here from key information to extract, which is going to be this input, to be a company summary. So the idea here is that I changed this prompt to match our specific needs. And essentially before, what it did is that it created a Google search query and then it searched for something on Google. So for example, it could search for the name of your business, and then the key information to extract would be like, please extract the summary of services. That's kind of like the objective of the tool is to be a scraper tool based on a Google search. What we want to do is to find the LinkedIn link. So we are going to provide, instead of key information to extract, we're going to provide a company summary based on our previous step. And like once we look up the name of the company plus LinkedIn on Google, we're going to look at that summary to see if something matches. Because for example, there could be various companies called Paiva Solutions. In fact, I found out about that the hard way. And we are looking for the specific one that offers AI services for businesses, right? Maybe there is another company that offers construction services, but it has the same name. So we would like to provide the company summary to be able to give the AI a little bit more context on what we're looking for. For the sake of organization, I'm also going to change the name of this variable, company summary, and we do need to change the description. This description is really important. Include the company summary with summary of services. All right, so we changed the name of the input, we change it over here, and we change the description of the input, essentially saying that include the company summary with the summary of services and any unique identifiers like location. I'm gonna change this to EG location. I don't know why, just for the sake of organization. And we're gonna save and publish this tool. So before I forget, we're just gonna rename the tool to Google search find company LinkedIn, or 5 companies LinkedIn. And we're gonna save and publish this information. The next tool that we have up is that if we already have the person's LinkedIn, or after this tool we need to look at the get company profile data and check if it includes the people that work at the company. So let's go back to the tools that we have and let's take a look at the templates. Type in LinkedIn this time. LinkedIn. Here we go. Extract and summarize LinkedIn profile, get recent posts, get personal profile, get company open roles, extract company insights. So we have this one by Relevance AI and then this one using LinkedIn. Get company profile with LinkedIn given a LinkedIn URL, returns the company ID, which can be used for other tools to get recent posts and more. Extract and summarize key insights from a company's LinkedIn profile and personalize outreach. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this extract and summarize LinkedIn profile. Maybe we can get company profile data. I think we're actually going to take a look at this one first. And let's open up LinkedIn and pull up a company profile. So let's use Relevance AI as an example. So we have Relevance AI's LinkedIn profile over here. I'm going to copy their LinkedIn URL and we're going to go test out the new tools that we want to test out. This one is just perform Google search. Let's close this tab. Where is the one? I guess this is the one. So I see that like the first step over here is to filter the return values for what I want and what I don't want. There's this big list. I'm going to turn off the things that I don't want. I don't need the logo URL. Phone number could be useful. Specialties could be useful. Website could be useful. Okay, so let's see if I can get something going over here. We're going to run the tool. It looks like the first thing that it does is that it parses the information to see if the LinkedIn URL is correct. Actually, let's wait until this run. Okay, so I just ran the tool. It looks like it works. I'm just wondering how I'm going to structure this output. I see that the first step of the tool is to select these true and false ranges here. And then after that, it goes on to a parsing step that checks if the LinkedIn profile contains linkedin.com-company-name of the company over there. And if it doesn't, it's going to output company LinkedIn URL is incorrect format. So I'm going to actually copy this type of link over here, and we're going to go back to that other template that we had, or that other tool that we just used. We're going to go over to tools, and I'm going to add that information in the prompt so we avoid having any trouble down the line. This one, Google search, find company's LinkedIn for echo. And here on this LLM step, I'm going to include a note. All right, so I'm just going to say the company LinkedIn profile should include linkedin.com-company-xxx. And we're going to save and publish this tool. This should be able to extract more information off of this. Okay, so we tested the tool. It works. We have to filter out what values we want to include. And then the first step that happens is that our tool checks to see if the LinkedIn link is actually a correct link, like linkedin.com-company, and then the name of the company. And then it goes on to scrape the information and it outputs like this. Pretty sure this is just like a JSON output structured in Relevance AI. I'm going to keep it like this for the sake of the argument. I'm not going to go ahead and change to a plain text output using an LLM step over here, just to see what happens. But I also noticed that it does not output the name of the people working in the company, or at least I guess it wouldn't in the first place, but I was looking over this list of things that it comes up with, and there's no like employee's name or something like that, like employee list or something like that. So that should be okay for now. We're gonna keep this the way it is, and we need to come up with a tool to find the person that we're looking for. So since we already saved and published this tool, let's go ahead and create another one of the same tool that does Google search. And I'm going to go ahead and clone this. But this time, instead of doing find LinkedIn, find companies LinkedIn, we're going to go find leads LinkedIn echo. So that brings us to the end of part 1. I didn't want to overwhelm YouTube and literally post a video that is the same length as Interstellar. So that's where we're going to be ending off today. Well, the next video is going to come out real soon, and reality is this build might actually be live. The AI agent might actually be live right now. So if you want to test out and see if you can get a personalized email coming into your inbox, you can get a 2-in-1 deal. You can get all of my AI automation templates for free in the link down below, and you might get a personalized email coming in from this AI agent for you as well. So with all of that being said, there's another video popping up over here that you can go ahead and watch. YouTube thinks you will like it, and if not, you can just go to the next video on the series if you're watching this a little bit in the future. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.